Review copy provided by Nintendo. Thanks, Nintendo! Hello, my banana hoarding friends. Arlo here, and today we're reviewing Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. This platforming gem received critical acclaim back on the Wii U, and now makes a comeback on Switch. So, will it make me go ape? Like in the good, happy way? Or go ape? Like in the crazy, angry way? Okay, lots of monkey and banana jokes out there. I probably could have done better. Anyway, whoosh! I'll admit I've got a little bit of a bias. I'm not really into 2D platformers. They offer a really pure form of video gaming, but for the most part, if the main goal is just to get right and maybe pick up a few optional collectibles along the way, I'm not going to be super into it. That doesn't really engage me. I need puzzles to do, or new abilities to gain, or experience to earn, or a great story to enjoy. It's just the way I am, not really into platformers. I played a lot of them when I was a kid, and they were practically all I had access to, but when other options opened up, I didn't look back. Enter Donkey Kong Country Returns. After being sold on all the trailers, I got it on my 3DS, and it was the best platformer I'd ever played. Mainstream gaming largely moved away from 2D platformers when technology improved and 3D graphics took over, but this was the first time a platformer felt like what I thought a modern platformer should feel like. Like, if they're capable of making these huge, beautiful, complex games, they should be able to turn something as simple as a platformer into something far above what we used to play on our Super NESs and whatnot. DKC Returns was the first game to make me go, yeah, this is it. This is where 2D platformers should be. This isn't just a Super NES game with a 3D skin. Then a few years later, the Wii U received the follow-up, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I'll admit, I was one of the people who was angry about Retro Studios working on another Donkey Kong game instead of another Metroid Prime or some other series that they planned on revitalizing. But once I played it, there was no denying that this was superior even to DKC Returns. That's right, Tropical Freeze is the best platformer I've ever played twice over. And I don't want to talk about Mario too much because 2D Mario games are great games and lots of people like them, and Mario and Donkey Kong are very different. But if you ask me, Donkey Kong is like 1,000 times better than Mario. It's one of those things where one game sets the bar so high that other similar games start to pale in comparison. But first things first, let's talk about the controls. DK has a fantastic weight to him, yet never feels slippery. Something about the way he moves is just very natural, and all the commands are super responsive. Perhaps the best thing about the controls, though, is how forgiving the platforming is. You can't grab onto ledges, but there will be plenty of times you swear that you're gonna fall or run into an enemy, and boom, turns out you made it after all. And you know how in Mario, if you want to bounce extra high off an enemy, you've got to hit the jump button at exactly the right time, and you often try to get the timing right and fail miserably and die? In Tropical Freeze, all you gotta do is hold down the jump button as you land and you'll bounce higher. Super simple. Now, someone could easily look at all this and gripe that it makes the game too easy, dumbs it down, holds your hand too much. But that couldn't be further from the truth. The forgiving platforming means that, at least if you're like me, you'll never feel that death is unfair. Each and every time I die, it's because I screwed up and I know exactly why I died. This gave the developers a huge amount of freedom when designing levels, and it gives you the ability to focus on overcoming complex challenges without worrying if you were just shy of reaching that ledge or you hit that enemy at just the wrong angle. The game feels legitimately and fairly challenging, and instead of trial and error and wondering what killed you, it's about reaction time and platforming skill, pure and simple. When you're really in the zone, you'll pull off crazy stunts on the first try, and it'll look like you practiced the level a bunch of times, but really the game just gave you the tools to do what you wanted to do. And as far as difficulty level goes, it's just perfect. Tropical Freeze can be deliciously challenging, especially in the special levels, which I'll talk more about in a bit. Checkpoints are placed in just the right intervals, so it never feels like the game is going easy on you, but it also doesn't make you do long sequences so many times that you get sick of them. If you want things to go a little easier, you can collect these banana coins and buy all sorts of items that help you out. Extra hearts, instant recovery from falls, that kind of stuff. Retro has really struck a balance with these items. Again, it sounds like the kind of thing that would make the game way too easy, but you have to manually select them when you go into a level, and they get used up when you do. So the extra effort makes it something I don't want to just casually use because I can, as is often the case with items and features that make games easier. Then, of course, if a very inexperienced player is looking to enjoy Tropical Freeze, they can use the easy mode, where they get extra hearts and items and can play as Funky Kong, who can hover and hold his breath underwater forever and step on spikes. This may be a lot easier, but there's still plenty of challenge here. He's certainly not invincible. Dying on a level too many times on easy mode gives you the option to skip it, but if if you do, you'll lose all your collectibles, so even someone using all these freebies will still be encouraged to come back and try again later. Lastly, the game's got a hard mode for veteran players where you've got only one heart and there are no checkpoints. This is much too hardcore for me, but it's really excellent that the game has so many options so that basically anyone can enjoy it. Gee, I wonder what other games could benefit from having options so that anyone can enjoy them. Is there one over here? Over there? No? Whatever. Speaking of Funky Kong though, he ain't the only additional character joining the fun. In the main mode, you play as DK and can use either Diddy, Dixie, or Cranky as a partner, and they each grant you different movement bonuses. My only problem here is that in my eyes, there's basically no reason to choose anyone other than Dixie. It would be nice to have to pick based on the circumstances, but nah. Diddy can hover, but Dixie can hover with a little upward movement that allows you to reach higher places, and this makes her, well, objectively better than Diddy. I mean, am I missing something? He can hover, she can hover upward. I don't know. Cranky is a little more unique. You can use him to bounce on spikes and you get a lot of air doing it, but I find it awkward to constantly bounce around everywhere. So I just stick with Dixie pretty much no matter what. Kind of a missed opportunity. Then we can't forget this game offers 2-player co-op. I'll admit I haven't played around with it very much as it doesn't feel like the kind of game that fits multiplayer super well, and I guess I'm just not interested. But if this is the sort of thing you're into, it's really awesome that now you can just pop off your Joy-Cons and there you go, 2-player fun. Okay, so other than great controls and a good balance of difficulty, what about this game has me so smitten? What makes it by and far the best 2D platformer I've ever played? Well, let me tell you, it's the levels. And like, when someone says a game has good level design, it's like, well, okay, good concepts, clever challenges, yeah. But no, when I say this game has good level design, I mean it on a whole other level. It might sound like I'm exaggerating, but the levels in this game are downright artful. Like, I believe that video games as a whole are an art form, though different games rate kinda differently on the artfulness scale, and most often, when I consider a game a great piece of art, it's because it contains excellent visual art in it, or it tells a great emotional story. I mean, right? This game has gorgeous backgrounds, it makes me feel things, it's art. But Tropical Freeze is art in a different sense. It blends its gameplay and its graphics and environments in a way that makes it stand out as something unique in the world of games as art. Okay, let me explain, if I can. Absolutely, positively, no platform in the entire game floats on its own. Apart from collectibles like bananas, nothing is propelled by nothing. Compare this to Mario, where blocks just float around for no reason. It's all very abstract, and that's fine in its own way, but this is just so impressive. It gives the world this incredible realism, this sense of place, even though it's still just a silly cartoon world full of goofy monkeys and penguins wearing helmets. And it's not just a realism thing. The way the environments play into the level design is just extraordinary. Each and every level has a clear theme that's expanded upon to its greatest potential. You can just imagine the developers sitting around a table, taking each concept, like leaf platforms being blown by horns or a giant sawmill, and coming up with every way possible that they can affect the player and provide a unique challenge. It's really, really hard not to spoil too much for you, because I just want to show you all the incredible stuff the game throws at you, all the crazy visual spectacles and the insanely clever ways they let you move through the world. But I'm only using footage from the first 2 worlds. Rest assured though, it's incredible. It's what I meant when I said that this was what a modern 2D platformer should be like. Then on top of the artful design, these levels are packed with collectibles. Like I said earlier, you collect these banana coins, and in addition to helpful items, you can also spend them on figurines of all the game's characters and baddies. More substantially, you'll find puzzle pieces which unlock art, secret exits which open up paths to new levels, and 4 Kong letters in each level which open up extra hard special levels, and let me tell you, these levels are challenging as heck, but loads of fun. Now, normally I don't find myself wanting to hunt down collectibles in a platformer, and in fact the old grouch in me sometimes finds that adding in such things can be kind of a cheap way to extend a game's length. Like, hey, our game might only be an hour long, but if you play it again and again and get everything, it'll take like 20 hours. 2 things about Tropical Freeze though. First, these levels are so delightful that I jump at the chance to experience each one or more additional times. Sometimes I'll even purposefully avoid collectibles so I've got even more reason to come back later. Then the game's various secrets are a blast to find. Sometimes you'll be looking for little visual clues that lead you to hidden areas, and sometimes you'll be rewarded with a puzzle piece by collecting all the bananas in a sequence. And even apart from puzzle pieces, it constantly rewards you for exploring and grabbing every banana you can see. Often the collectible you want is in plain sight, but the fun is in figuring out how to grab it. This is especially true of Kong letters, which can take good planning and quick reflexes. Finally, tying the whole experience up in a neat little bow is the terrific presentation. The art style is phenomenal. Everything is vibrant and colorful, and the levels are packed with insane amounts of detail. You move through places that really feel like they have a story to tell, and there are all these gorgeous backgrounds and scripted events that combine with the incredible platforming design to make for a truly unforgettable experience. And even better, it all runs like butter on the Switch. 60 FPS with no drops for one, and it comes in at 1080p when docked, so that rich world is that much more beautiful. Then I heard that it doesn't quite hit 720p in handheld mode, but I can't really tell most of the time. It's gorgeous on that little screen as well. Another thing that stands out in the visual department is the character design and animation. All the characters and baddies move so fluidly and have really excellent cartoonish designs, more akin to Western animation, which makes sense seeing as Retro Studios is based in Texas. The cutscenes are a lot of fun, and my only complaint here is that I wish there were more of them. No, I don't mean long story cutscenes or anything like that. I mean just more of what it already has. Something about the design of these characters just makes me laugh. DK's face especially just cracks me up for some reason, and I feel the game would be that much better with more of this visual humor, just these little things you get to see between levels. It's just got so much potential for different gags and character interactions. Then of course, that music. I'm sure you've heard people go on and on about the magical David Wise and his compositions, and you know what? Those people are right. The music in Tropical Freeze is like sweet, sweet honey in your ears. Except like in a metaphorical way, not the real way, like actually getting honey in your ear, because that might be one of the worst things I can imagine. Anyway, the soundtrack covers a wide range of genres, and each track manages to set a wonderful mood. In fact, one of them, Funky Waters, which you're hearing right now, happens to be one of my very favorite songs from any video game, like top 10 at least. It's catchy and beautiful, and I just love it. If I came away with one major complaint about Tropical Freeze, it's that the boss battles could be better. Some of them are fine, but a few are a little less fine. Really, the main problem is that they're just too long without any checkpoints. And they're pretty darn difficult too. Some of them took me a good 10 or 20 tries to beat on my first playthrough. It can just take so long to get to the later stages of the battle that losing brings the kind of frustration that's completely missing from the rest of the game. Even in the game's harder levels, I never find myself getting really mad because, like I said, the controls are fair and the checkpoints are decently generous, but some of these boss battles are unfortunate exceptions. Also, I don't really feel like the final battle lives up. It's just not as climactic and exciting as it could be, and compared to DKC Returns, the ending is kinda lame. Not a huge deal, because of course the quote-unquote story isn't that important, but I feel like it should have been at least a little better. Again, it's an issue of potential. I do actually have one more issue with Tropical Freeze on Switch, though it's not exactly about the game itself, it's that darn price. This has been a really heated debate in the Nintendo community. I've seen people very firmly on both sides of the fence. The game's not too old, and it's a great game, and it's certainly within Nintendo's right to charge full price for it. I can see where that camp is coming from, but if I have to pick a camp, it's probably the other one. I do think it's a little too expensive. Nintendo has ported over other Wii U games at full price, but each one has included a bunch of DLC, and this new funky mode is hardly enough to make me even call this an enhanced port. The original game launched for only $50, and right now you can grab a copy for Wii U for $20. If one of those two things weren't true, I think the $60 price would be easier to swallow, but as it is, it's just a smidge too high for my liking. And here's that 2D platformer bias again. This may be the best platformer I've ever played, but it's still a platformer. It's fairly short, and as per usual, most of the length comes from playing levels multiple times and collecting everything. It definitely has a heck of a lot more content than other certain games that are over here somewhere, maybe, but it's still the kind of thing I have a hard time spending that much money on. There are a lot of factors that go into scoring a game, and value is indeed one of them. If someone makes the best tic-tac-toe game in the entire universe but charges $60 for it, that's not going to reflect well on its score. But while the greedy, miserly part of me is tempted to dock a point from Tropical Freeze for not offering quite enough value for the money, that part of me can go take a nap or something. I'm gonna score Tropical Freeze for what it is and leave the is it worth the price argument to you. And what it is a truly terrific platforming experience, just bursting with creativity and charm and genius level design. It's enough to enthrall even me, a guy who usually can't be bothered to just get right. And Nintendo, I don't want to hurt your feelings or anything, but this makes this look like, well, not super impressive, I guess. I am pleased to give Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze a perfect 7 out of 7. Well, what are you waiting for? Stop monkeying around and go try this game. I promise it'll make you go ape or bananas. And I can see it's climbing the sales charts like a monkey climbs. It won't make you cranky? Gosh, this is awful. I need to hire a writer.